Welcome back, episode 15 of the podcast. We have finally got Lily Partridge with us. Hopefully, we get through this entire episode without any Wi-Fi blips. How are you, Lily? All right?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good. I've had a busy day, so it's nice to sit down with a non-warmed up cup of tea.
The cold warm up with the tea.
It's a fresh cup. It is a fresh cup. So
fresh cup. Our Instagram poll wasn't happy, but I don't think you're the only one that warms up tea. Leanne, Nikki's wife, warms up tea in the microwave as well, so you're not alone.
Yeah, to be fair, I got quite a few messages that were like, oh, I do this all the time. And then someone tried to make me feel better because they were like, oh, I do this with coffee. I was like, I don't know if it feels different. Everyone seems more upset with the tea, just the issue with it being tea and warmed up. I mean, it is better fresh, but I do regularly warm tea up in the microwave.
When I've done it in the past, I don't know if this makes sense, but it tastes like thinner.
Yeah, no? It's not. Yeah, it kind of like loses. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, it's not. It's
you
like
lose a bit of density to it, don't you?
Yeah.
But this is not a tea podcast. Nick, can you tell people a little bit about Lily, the mic not know?
Yeah. This is a running podcast. I'm no expert on tea. I'm no expert on running, but hopefully Lily is and can give us a good half hour of her time. Yeah, Lily is a pro runner with Puma, Team England and GB representative, 2:25 marathoner, but most importantly, a local legend of our races, Barry and Porthcawl.
Yeah, I always get messages like, "Are you coming back this year?" Or... I did all of them last year, pretty much, didn't I?
Yeah. So.
Are you coming back?
Yeah. Well, why was that? Was it just like good events?
To be honest, it's probably the best domestic series of races. Outside of obviously you have Great Run and London Marathon have a couple of races, but kind of over the summer, everything kind of disappears. Everything's very much like spring and autumn, and over the summer it kind of disappears. Yeah. So I'd say actually domestically, it's probably one of the best series of races. They're really well organised. The host or the race organizer really looks after you. So yeah, I was sort of wanted to give them all a go. Yeah. And they're good fun because they're not like big races where in the term of there's not a load of pressure on them. It was just you could just go race for fun, and yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Turn up, good.
And I obviously
good effort in, and
with Gavin and Stacey and stuff like that. So I was like, it's just a good opportunity to go down.
To come there as well, yeah, that makes sense.
Porthcawl Fair, was it open? Did you go to Porthcawl Fair, Coney Beach as well?
Is that at Barry Island? There is a fair there, isn't there?
No, the one down Porthcawl. The fair down Porthcawl as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Both of them. No, I don't think so. It was quite quiet. When I arrived in Porthcawl, it was really quite quiet. But obviously then it all came alive on race day. But yeah, it was kind of the day before. I wasn't quite sure I had the right place. And then it all kind of came alive. I was like, okay, it's right, it's fine. But no, I didn't see any fair. I wasn't looking hard enough.
Yeah, we run through the fair.
Oh, I do remember. Yeah, I do remember. I do remember that. Yeah. But no, I didn't
go. Are you back this year?
And you run round.
Are you back this year for them? Defend your titles?
Say that again, sorry.
Are you back this year to defend your titles?
Well, yeah, I hope so. I mean, it'd be really good to come back. I really enjoyed it last year, and it kind of was a good building block for my summer into the autumn races. Because I think sometimes when you start racing in the autumn, there's not many races in the summer, so you kind of come into that period having not really raced. And I'm definitely someone that performs better when I race fairly regularly. So yeah, I'd like to come back in the summer if they'll have me.
Excellent. So we know where you are now. Nikki's just filled us in. But if we just throw it right back, when did you start? Was running from school, other sports in school, nothing in school? Where did it all start with you?
Yeah, so I've always ran. Both my parents were athletes, so it was kind of even if you didn't enjoy it, you were going to at least try it. They're both distance runners, so it was kind of I suppose I took the obvious route. I did what they did and stuck at it. But I suppose, I played a little bit of netball at school, and I always enjoyed PE, but it was kind of I was always a runner. And I think part of that was kind of the environment I was in, obviously with my parents, and I was already down the club when I was young. But also it's kind of like I lack a certain skill set in other sports. I just wasn't that good. So I never. My sister was probably more of like the all-round sports person. Like she could probably take her hand to most things, where I was very much like, okay, I can do running, and I'm half decent at that, so I'll stick there.
Excellent.
Yeah, with obviously parents being good runners, was it like you're saying it was just natural to fall in? Was it like seeing them training and running that kept you then wanting to achieve and like obviously maybe idolize them and see what they had achieved and like push on from that? And then
Yeah,
obviously got better.
I didn't so much like. I
younger
don't
age.
really have any memories of seeing them run. In that, like, we have like a bit of a funny story in that, like, when I was, I think I must have been like 11, 12 or something, and my mum was like, "Oh, I used to run at like quite a high level," and I thought that was hilarious, obviously, because it's like she's my mum, and I was like, "What are you doing?" I knew she ran,
Mum,
but I just
yeah.
don't think obviously when you're that age, the times don't mean anything. Like, you know what your friends are running and your competitors are running, but kind of understanding like what a sub 9 minute 3K was. It was like, well, obviously that's alien at 11 and 12. So yeah, I kind of didn't really. I knew that they had ran, and I knew that they had run at a high level, but I didn't really understand it until like much later. But like my dad coached in that a little bit when I was younger, so we'd always go up like on the training tracks and stuff like that, and in the woods and that while he was coaching. So I suppose I saw it from that point of view, and I was always down the club, even if I don't really remember it. Like, there's pictures of me at, like, as a baby when I was 2. That's at the athletics club. So I did see it. I just don't remember it from that far back. But
Yeah. You don't remember much from being there, apart from like weird little memories now and again, and then okay.
yeah. So no, I don't really have any memories, but it was kind of, I went to school and then did the cross country. And I was kind of like, it was quite a competitive, like, inter schools area.
Yeah.
So the likes of like Steph Twell, Emma Pallant, and that, like, I was racing them back in primary school. So it was kind of like, I didn't know them then, and they didn't know me, and they were obviously a couple of years older. And at that age, that obviously makes a massive difference. But yeah, it was kind of like, I think I came like, I'd won all like the sports days and that at school. So then when I went to this cross country, I was like, well, obviously I'm going to win that as well. And I didn't. I finished like 30th. So that was a huge wake up call. So I said to my parents, I want to train. So it was kind of like they just signed me up to the little kids group at Aldershot, and the rest is history.
So it's been running since then, have it? Have you had? Did you go into work or anything, or have you just been lucky enough to go straight into athletics?
So I worked full time up until about 2016. 2016. So I was studying up until I think summer 2017. I went to university late. So I actually went from college. I then moved up to Scotland to train with Liz McColgan, Ailish, and that must have been 18. I was there for sort of 18 months, 2 years, and then I came back and went to university at St Mary's. And then I was like working through that kind of time as well. Like, my degree was sort of like I wouldn't say like a 50-50, but it was kind of bit in university and a bit work experience. And so I worked full time probably from about 2011, 2012 through to about 2017. And then I went full time athletics.
Excellent. How was that juggling? Because you still had these ambitions. This was still the plan then, so juggling work and fitting training around. Obviously, you've got a lot more freedom now.
Yeah.
But working, training, is hard.
So it is hard. I think like I didn't really know any different then, in the sense that I obviously when I was in Scotland, I was still working there as well. So it was kind of, I went from college into work. Like, I've kind of always worked. Like, even when I was at college, I'd like work in a running shop at like on a Saturday or something. So I've always worked up until 2017, and now that this is my work. But I hadn't known any different at that point. It was just a case of when I stepped out of education, I just worked more. So I didn't really know any different. But yeah, I'd run at like 6 a.m. before work and after work. So yeah, obviously I always dreamt of the day of like, when it's like the alarm goes off at 5:45, you're like, I just wish I was good enough where I didn't have to do this. But it was about working hard to get to the point where I then didn't have to do it. But there's new challenges. Like I get asked sometimes, kind of got more asked during COVID when people said, because I think people assume like, oh, you've always been a full-time athlete, and I was like, no, I haven't always been a full-time athlete. But when you like, how do you I want to like put some more effort into my running and back off of work, like what's the advice? And I think people assume like, oh, it's like an easy transition because they're like, oh, well, you just got more time, and it's like, yeah, you've got more time to think, overthink. You think, oh, I've got more time, I'll train more, and then you get injured or you get like, it's kind of, there's a different balancing act to have. Like it is easier because you're not having to do 2 jobs, but it's kind of, you need to be good at filling empty space or not filling empty space, for want of a better phrase. Like you need to be quite good at doing nothing because half your job is recovering.
Recovery, because there's only, like I say, there's only so many hours you can run in a day or need to run in a day. So there's a lot of time then. Obviously, you've got your strength conditioning and other things, but it's not. It's still a lot of the day,
the
like you
biggest
say,
thing
to
was like do exactly the training you're doing now and just recover better. You'll probably naturally then be able to train a little bit more because you'll be more recovered, and you might not, I don't know, sat in an office all day. If somebody's got flu across the desk from you, it's like that's not ideal, obviously. So you can avoid situations like that a little bit easier. But it's kind of like, I think people assume that it's like, oh, it's easy, and you're like, there's different challenges. It's just different.
Oh, it's definitely not easy. I think we've spoke to Jake Smith and Derry Griffin, like the hard work they say, like how hard, and obviously yourselves, it's a hard. It's not what I said to them. I think I said to them as well. It's not massively rewarding financially, is it for you guys? It's like,
I mean, it can be very good in moments, and then it can be like but you can go from that to nothing, like within a season or a couple of seasons.
Quickly,
and I found that out the hard way back in 2021 when I had my surgery.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because you obviously had a bad injury as well.
Yeah,
so you
I went
had
from
like
earning
a long time then
a decent wage to like all of a sudden it was like, that's in half. I can't race yet because I'm not fit, or I can't race at a level that will earn me the difference because I'm not fit enough. So it's kind of like, I think they're the difficulties with this being the full-time job, is like, obviously if you have a normal job, you're getting paid every month.
Steady income.
Like it's not a case of like, if you do worse than the girl sat in the desk next to you, they're not like, well, you're not getting paid, but she's going to get your money. Like that's not how that works. Whereas
that brings a lot of pressure as well, then, I suppose, doesn't it?
Especially if you don't have a contract. It's kind of like, if you're just earning, and there's a lot of athletes that just earn money through racing, which means that every time they step on the line, it's like, well, I need to pay my mortgage next month.
Money's on the line,
But yeah, I think it's like, and also your identity is like, it's not like, oh, woe is me. Like I have I love my job. I wouldn't want to go back into it like a normal job, but you also don't have anything else to like. So in those low moments, and I think like both Ben and I have had it over the last couple of years, like he's struggled with it recently, and obviously I had surgery in 2021. It's like there's no distractions. Like your entire, it's not, probably a bit dramatic, but like your identity and your self-confidence is wrapped up in the sport. So it's kind of like, oh, well, like when that's taken away, it's like, oh, now what? And I think a lot of athletes talk about that when they retire, don't they? Sort of, it's different. Like, I don't think life's easy for anyone.
No. So you went from not working full time, and then obviously jump into full time athletics.
Yeah.
How did that decision come about? What aligned? Was it scary? Was you? How did it come about? Like?
Yeah, it was kind of a couple of things. So I ran in 2016. So it was only happening in 2017 because so 2016 I cut back because I wanted to see if I could run the Olympic qualifying time over the 10,000, and I missed it by like 5 seconds. But I was kind of at that point, I was like, oh, okay. And I was already earning money in that I won Reading half marathon, and I started racing on the roads a little bit more. And then obviously signed with New Balance and stuff like that. So I kind of had like a different income stream other than my job. And it was kind of like, because I missed the qualifying time, it was kind of like, oh, I'm earning enough to kind of be able to step away from this. But I had to keep a certain element of it because my degree depended on it. So I kind of kept going another, I kind of went full time, but kept a little bit of my foot in the door with work because of my degree. But yeah, once my degree ended, then I was like, right, we're going it alone now. So that was kind of like, there was like a little bit of a transition over like a 12-month period. But yeah, 2017 was kind of like that's it.
Excellent. What's your degree in? Just out of interest.
Say that again, sorry.
What's your degree in?
Primary school teaching.
Oh, there we are.
Yeah.
Lovely. There'll be good stories to tell the kids in the future as well.
Yeah,
Maybe like
I mean, I'd love to teach like English as a second language or something like that. I'm not entirely committed to going back in the classroom yet, but I think that's just because it would be such a going back into that workplace right now would be a shock to the system. I don't see lots of people day to day, never mind like 30 children.
Yeah. It'll be similar to like how you felt about when your mother said then you could run a bit. When you're telling these kids in a few years, yeah, I used to run a bit. And then you chuck it on.
They'll be like,
they're like cheapers.
Yeah. Yeah, it does
means nothing.
I think there's a lot of people, like I've got friends who run and have got children, and they're like, I'm like, how is it? They're like, the kid does not care. They do not care. They do not care how badly you ran, how well you ran. They do not care as long as you're there for.
Yeah, they're just waiting for them.
And kids are cruel. Like the one thing I did learn from working with kids are cruel.
Oh.
They're way too honest for their own good.
Yeah, that's the thing. They so on. Tell you everything.
So what's days look like for you now then?
Say that again, sorry.
What do days look like for you now?
Yeah, so wake up probably about 8ish. I don't actually, unless we've got something going on or like I've got a session or something, we tend not to set an alarm, but generally get up around 8 o'clock. And then just have breakfast, go running, go training, come back, have something to eat, and then you just kind of like chill then, or do some, like if we've got any admin stuff. So currently trying to move house. So
don't do it.
We do admin.
Don't do
it. So we've got all fun and games with that. So yeah, just kind of do bits and bobs that I need to do throughout the day, just try and rest and recover. And then if I've got an evening run, obviously go out for that like sort of 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Or if I go to the gym, we tend to try and, if we're going to go to the gym, we tend to try and go like kind of during the working day for everyone. So that it's just quieter rather than hitting at the same time everyone else is hitting it. Yeah, and then we'll just come home, have dinner and chill. It's kind of not, it's a relaxed lifestyle in that. But like our run will take us, run or sessions, like they'll take us through to sort of 12, 1 o'clock. So by the time you kind of come back, rest and recover and go back out for evening run, you've not got, the day's filled.
Yeah, it's a full day, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be. Like we try and obviously make sure we rest in the middle, but yeah, it's kind of, you're not really sat around for 8-9 hours by the time you've done your first one. I think that's why people say like, oh, why don't you go out at like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning? I'm like, because what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Like,
there's no point.
But yeah, nothing, I don't need to go anywhere. So yeah, it's quite true.
Rest is part of your job as well, really, isn't it? So how do you rest?
And
you
recover,
just
like the biggest part of it is to recover.
Is that like,
yeah, everyone's saying massive.
Is that resting just kicking back with Netflix then, or
what was that? So, yeah, we completed Netflix. We're completely done on Netflix. We're on Amazon Prime now.
Oh, right, jumped over.
Yeah, we're
something new to watch.
BBC iPlayer, just working our way through.
Yeah. So with regards to like thinking of like the streaming and stuff like that, a lot of athletes rely on kind of YouTube and content creation and stuff like that. Do you dabble in that at all, or not interested?
No, I think it's like, I would be interested, but I think it's quite difficult if you like, so Ben and I both do the same job. So it's not a case of like, I don't have like a boyfriend or a partner there to like get a load of content, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, so when I'm training, he's training. So it's not a case of like, well, I'll ride a lot. Well, actually, we got a little bit more like, obviously when I was building up for Valencia, because Ben was coming back from injury, so actually he did go on a bike a little bit with me, or quite a lot with me, so he was able to get bits and bobs then. But it's kind of like, when we're both training and competing, there's just no one else. Like if somebody said to me, look, I'll come and get all content for you, I'd be like, yeah, great. Fantastic. It just doesn't, we just don't have that set up, and I can't afford to pay someone for that
and
to
it's
be
not
their job.
because that's an expensive outlay as well, and it's probably not worth the revenue you're going to make from YouTube by the time you build it up.
Yeah, and I think like we try and obviously like do Instagram. I did just start like a TikTok for our coaching account, but I'm not entirely sure TikToks are like target audience in that there's not many. I think TikTok's quite a young audience, and I'm not sure they've got the like obviously people who want to pay for coaching and get support have a level of disposable income. And that's probably not TikTok's audience.
No, definitely. That leads us on nicely to coaching, I guess. So do you want to tell us a bit more about the coaching? Is it new? Both of you are doing it? Or because I see you share quite a lot of it at the moment on Instagram.
Yeah, so we do a lot of the coaching. It's something we started kind of the back end of 2021, just to kind of really try and like. Obviously, during COVID, there was a lot of kind of I don't know if misinformation without sounding. I don't know. I guess like tagged on some algorithm or something. But like, it was kind of a lot of people like sharing what they're doing and stuff, or sharing tips and that. And you just think, I don't know, like people who are actually in the sport, like athletes or like professional coaches and that, I'm like, surely that's a better listen. So it's kind of like we started it kind of on that and then just carried on, and just took on some athletes, and it's something that we like to do. Like we have quite a close relationship with our athletes, so it's just nice to see the other side of the sport as well, that's not part of the elite world. So yeah, we learn from them. Kind of like it's a different, like when you're trying to talk them through a race day and they're like, oh, my race day doesn't look like that, I've got to get through like all this stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, you don't just get dropped off at the start line. I forgot about that.
No,
yeah,
we don't get a nice
we
warm
just get
tent
delivered to the start line. You're like, oh, that's not
right on the start.
We got numbers, you got your name on your bib, haven't you? Like you don't get numbers,
like,
you get names.
Like, oh, if you can go do like a jog and all this and the other, like I can't do a jog, I need to be on the start line like half an hour before. I'm like, oh yeah, like
yeah.
So it's just you're learning different ways of doing things, but it is interesting.
Eye opener. Welcome to our world. How many athletes do you have? Is it a big pool, or do you keep it quite small so it's more intimate and you can help them
so I'd
more,
say it's probably like maybe compared to some companies it's quite small because it's just literally just Ben and I. We don't outsource that coaching to anyone else. It's just Ben and I. So we kind of I think we've got like maybe 20, 30, 25 athletes maybe right now. So we want to keep it like I'm back in 2021 when I was injured and Ben was prepping for the Olympics. We kind of cut that back a little bit because it was just like we've got so much going on. Ben's trying to prep for the Olympics. I've just had surgery, and it was kind of like so we just kind of we let it fall and rise as kind of suits us and as the market's there really for people. So yeah, I think we've got about 25 right now.
Decent. I see it is getting more popular with runners, obviously, because like everyone's getting more knowledgeable. Equipment's getting better. The times seem to be coming down. Like London's good for age have just come down again another 5 minutes. Boston the same. So obviously people are looking for help then, and that little it's probably a huge huge advantage having someone like yourselves then giving them that extra knowledge.
I hope so. And like we have, like I say, we have quite a close relationship with our athletes. We tend not to try and do this. Initially, we kind of released some like more generic plans, but we kind of stopped doing it because it was like, well, we don't really have. Like you never find out the result of that plan or anything like that. We quite like to talk to our athletes and stuff like that. So it's quite good to see the improvements. I think like because obviously when you're in the elite world, like improvements are quite minuscule and there's like quite small like improvements to be made, if that makes sense in general. Whereas you like I think we had someone the other day with like a 6-minute PB or 7-8 minute PB. You're like. What that just doesn't exist really in the elite world. So it's quite cool to have that.
And
you get that high that you don't always get like
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it must be different buzz then, a different sense of achievement from helping them and seeing them go well.
Yeah, like you could knock minutes off my PB, but if you knock minutes off your PB, you're peeing in a bottle straight after it, aren't you?
Yeah,
Because there's
well,
some.
I think like I knocked 4 minutes off in Valencia, and that was like that. There's going to be very few, if ever, that I knock that chunk off again. Like I obviously I hope that
Yeah,
I continues it, but like to take like another 4 minutes off is like me running 2:21. Then realistically, I'm not going to take another 4 minutes off that. Whereas to see somebody just like keep improving, keep loving it, and stuff like that is cool because it's a different side.
Yeah, and I think this is why I love doing the podcast, because we love speaking to people like you. But last week as well, no, just before, we had Carly Cole on, and Carly's just a finance manager. She's just gone out to do Boston, and running's for everyone, isn't it? So it's great to get different people in with different insights from people you can walk past in the street you don't know, and then more elite and professional people like you as well. Definitely. With the coaching as well, I think
yeah,
it's important to have that low number as well, because you'd want it to be like a close and intimate relationship, really, rather than, oh, here's a PDF, crack on. You can sell 100 PDFs, can't you? But like you said, you
I'd
never
rather
see.
us like do a good job with it than sort of have
yeah,
like. I mean, it would be great to have loads and loads of athletes, but it's like it has to be manageable for us and Ben. To do a good job for them, but also like we're still. It's not the business isn't our careers. Like it's not what pays the bills. So like we have to look at our own performance as well. So it's a case of like obviously our own careers are like have to be our priority for the time being. So it's like we want to get the coaching in a place
number one.
where we can build on it as as we get older and like our own careers taper off. But also we want to do a good job for the athletes that we've got whilst maintaining and growing our own careers. So we do our best to keep it manageable.
Yeah, excellent. Your own career, we wouldn't be able to get there you go without talking about the O word, the Olympics. What's going on at the moment then?
Your guess is as good as mine. Yeah,
After London,
yeah.
they
So
announced in the
the third
rest of the
spot and
marathon.
obviously the men's it'll be announced after London. The women's is so competitive. So it's just a case of like everyone's had to do. You just have to go and do what you can. Unfortunately, I got ill the other week before Berlin, so that doesn't help. But it's just bad timing. It happens. It's sport. It could happen to one of the other girls today, tomorrow, whatever. So yeah, you just have to wait and see. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, like if you'd have said to me 12 months ago, oh, you'll be like disappointed or you'll be like thinking you've got a shot at the Olympic selection, I'd have thought you were absolutely off your head. Because I was so far away from where I am now. It was kind of like, and I was never sure I would get back to like I've never been at this level, like over the marathon or like 10K. But like if you even said I'd get back to my previous best, I wasn't sure. So to be in this position, I'm like, look, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, there's so many other things that I have as goals. So
yeah, grateful to be back there and
definitely.
competing again.
It's good. It's fine. Whatever happens, happens, and they'll pick the right person will get picked, and I just have to be better next time.
And if
Jumping back to Berlin now, was that like going to be a sort of a yardstick for them to pick off as well? Was that something you was looking at to do there, run quick and like say, look, I'm in
I mean, I
this
don't
shape
know
still?
the true importance of Berlin. We'll find out maybe at when the selection is made, but I don't. Kind of going into it, we didn't really know the importance of the race. Like, were they going to use this one, or was this just a case of like, obviously, like if I'd have gone there and ran to fitness, and done another like replicated Trafford, but over the half marathon, then it would have helped. But I actually don't know if, say, I had gone there and ran 68, 69 minutes. I don't know if that would have got me. I don't know if that would have been enough, because I don't know what what they were looking for that third spot. So I'm the third fastest for that third spot. I'm the third fastest over the marathon, but I'm the fastest over the 10K.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like
Yeah.
we don't really know. Yes, flying at Berlin would have helped, but I don't know how much. I could still be sat in this situation now.
Right.
So yeah, we just have to wait and see. We don't. I do wish the selection was more like objective. Like had they said on the, I don't know, when they made the first selections, they were like, right, we're just going to pick the first 3, the fastest 3 over the marathon on that day. Like I would have lost out, but it would have been fair. At least we would have known it was like, well, if I'm not sat in that third spot on that day, then I'm not going. You can do something about that potentially.
Is there anyone or possibly going at London that could beat your times or get the
I mean, never say
QT
never.
again?
There's always an opportunity for someone to fly, but I think I doubt that third spot will come from London. But never say never. I don't know what the girls in London are aiming for. Obviously, there's Clara, who's the Welsh girl, and friends with Clara, so that's good. And then Rose is obviously the kind of the natural third spot she's the third fastest marathoner. So it's kind of everyone's kind of got a claim to that third spot. Like especially the 3 of us we've got a claim to the third spot, but it's just what the selectors want to do. But no, the 3 of us aren't. None of us are running London. So if they're going to say one of us 3, it won't come from London.
Excellent.
I know. Yeah, there should be. We need to there needs to be a teams race at the Olympics or something. There's like 5 go. But it's fine. I say 5 because I'm in the 5th, so we'll go with 5 instead of 4. Yeah, make sure I'm in there.
Sure.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, if not, there's other things, especially over the marathon.
Yeah.
And you'll always have Barry Island 10K to fall back on.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to pick me over the 10K. I'm fairly sure of that. I'm like, although I ran well, I'm still a solid 40 seconds off the qualifying time.
Is it a lot off still with that time in Trafford?
So the time's like, I think
the times again.
I think it's 30. It's either 30:40 or 30:50. So I ran 31:29. So although I'm very, very happy with that, it's still a fair bit off of the qualifying time. So maybe next time.
I think it's 50, isn't it? Because Jess Judd had her chip time and her gun time was like just that. One was just below. A chip was below, but her gun time was above.
To be fair, they have to do something about that because, like, as women, like we're very, especially on those sort of races, you're never stood at the front. It's dangerous for you to be stood on the front line.
Said this, that it's not fair then on you.
Yeah, you can't get to the front. Never mind being safe stood on the front because they're all going to push past you. I just I'm hoping. I like to believe. I want to give the hindsight that it's an oversight that will be rectified rather than like they kind of dig their heels in with it because I just think it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. Definitely.
Fingers crossed. Like she deserves to go over the 10, so I hope it's an oversight.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we can see by your jumper, you're a Puma athlete now.
Yeah.
They're carbon print. You've been wearing them, haven't you? They are carbons. I can't remember what they're called, but they're almost like stilettos. They're crazy, aren't they?
Yeah, the Fast R2s. Yeah, they've got a new one out that I haven't tried yet, so hopefully that comes. But yeah, the Fast R2s. They look pretty funky from the outside. But yeah, it's nice because they look different, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
are
can see
different.
the carbon plate, so
Definitely.
you're like, check it's still intact.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah,
it looks like a snap.
Oh my god, I'll be thinking about it now.
Do you remember the Nike shocks? They look like a deconstructed pair of Nike shocks, don't they? The shocks, you could see the shocks in the back. Do you remember them?
I can remember like the air pockets.
I don't.
But Puma, what's the relationship? How does the relationship with Puma work?
How does it work in terms of getting a sponsorship?
Yeah, and what, like, are you just getting new shoes through the door, new gear through the door all day, or do you just get regular drops, or?
Yeah, so I mean Puma's brilliant. They're quite like relaxed. So yeah, we have like 2 or 3 drops a year that are like, I suppose, like training competition drops. So obviously your race kit will all come in that. And then like casual stuff, training stuff, that they have designated drops. But they're pretty relaxed if you need some, like, especially as marathon runners. Like, I imagine there's a team of us, like Puma marathon runners. I imagine we're the majority of their requests for shoes. So yeah, they're pretty relaxed. Like, I mean, I think as you get older, I think when I was like a junior athlete, and sponsorships were about, there was kind of stories of like athletes like sort of taking the piss as such and ordering loads of stuff that they didn't really need. But I think as you get older, you kind of like respect that professional relationship a little bit
Yeah.
more of like, well, I don't need like 30 pairs of casual shoes at the start of a winter. Like, I don't go anywhere. My life's not that exciting. So yeah, I think it's just as long as you're not like obviously absolutely rinsing it, yeah, you can generally get what you need or get what you want. So they're really good.
Good. Because you said previously you were with New Balance as well. So do you come to an end of a contract then, and then they come in again, or do you get head? How does, like? Am I making sense? Do you
Yeah,
get
so
headhunted, or do they come to the end of a contract and then more offers?
yeah, I suppose the kind of the best way to kind of liken it is like, if you're obviously I have an agent, so they can also go like looking for contracts, if that makes sense. They can put the feelers out with their contacts. But I
Yeah.
suppose that it's kind of like, if you get like, not like poached for a job, that's maybe not the right phrase, but like headhunted or that kind of thing. Like a brand will,
And the
they'll see that an athlete isn't under contract or their
approach.
contracts up. Like all the brands know when contracts are up for a renewal, and there'll be conversations with agents and between agents and brands and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just a case of trying to find that best fit really,
Yeah.
and fit what the brands want, what the athlete needs, that kind of stuff, and just trying to work out like a relationship. Um, with that. So yeah, it's a case of like obviously contracts come to an end every 3, 4, 5 years, and then yeah, you sort of like, I hope that I'm with Puma now but you never know. Like their marketing might change, my needs might change. Like yeah, so things happen, but yeah, that's generally how it works.
Good. It's like you see with the football now and again, don't you? You'll see like a football team will be linked to a player, and then the news will break. It's like, oh, Liverpool have just followed this player on Twitter, on
Yeah.
Instagram. You're sitting there with two
Yeah,
minutes
yeah,
left on.
it's probably exactly the same. Yeah, it's a similar thing, just with significantly smaller amounts of money, generally passing hands. Like, I'd be happy to be on a
Yeah.
footballer's wage. That would be fantastic.
Oh, hello. Excellent. Well, we've gone right through. I really, really hope you do qualify for the Olympics, but it's not in our hands anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll take a little break now and then do this or that. Nikki's got some this or that and a couple of questions from Instagram, and then let you get back to. Are you going back out to a run now, or are you done for the day?
I'm done for the day. I had quite an intense physio session later, so my my legs feel a little bit. They feel worse than they did before I went. So I think I'm going to rest
Well,
them for this evening. Yeah, I'm going to
always
have
like
them rested.
that.
The physio said, she was like, are you running tonight? And I was like, no, I wasn't going to. She was like, good. I think she took that as like a green light. Yeah. So
There we are.
I'll
Excellent.
rest.
Nick, anything before we take a break? Nick?
Oh no, it's been
There
good
we
so
are.
far.
We'll take a quick break now and then we'll be back with this or that. Welcome back. We've still got Lily Partridge with us, and Nikki has got some this or that lined up this week. Nick, ready?
Yeah, our usual feature towards the end with our guests. So first one, Lily, a long run or session?
Oh. A session, I think, which is probably a weird answer from a marathon runner, but yeah, a session. Like, because you can do lots of different sessions, whereas like a long run, there tends to be more of a specific format.
Nice. 10K or marathon?
Oh,
What's harder?
I would say, yeah, it's hard. Like the 10K is like fun, if that makes sense, and it kind of takes this less pressure. But the marathon is like, especially if you hit one and it goes really well, you're like, it's obviously absolutely buzzing and stuff like that.
Somebody.
I don't know. I'd say a marathon if it goes well, but otherwise a 10K.
Yeah, like a 10K, you can recover and go again next
Yeah,
week.
that's what I mean. Like, if a 10K goes sideways on you, you can go, right, well,
Yeah.
there's another one in a couple of weeks. Whereas a marathon,
Yeah.
you're like, oh God, that's like 6 months. I feel like I've like lost 4 months of my life beforehand, and
Yeah.
now I'm screwed.
4 months of hell training, and
Yeah, so yeah,
whatever.
marathon's more fun. Like, if I retired,
Yeah.
although then marathon would have less pressure if you retired, wouldn't it? So it's like, I don't know. I'll say marathon because it's my event.
It's my favourite
Yeah.
marathon. I don't know. Right. Cross country or roads? Because he was a good cross country runner as well, wasn't he?
Kind of again, like, cross country's fun, but I actually also think cross country is like a massive skill set.
Yeah, oh, it's totally different.
Like, I don't think, like, people always say, like, would you go back on the cross country? And I was like, I don't think I would just drop into one. I think you do have to do a couple to kind of get used to, like, the run. It's a different type of running. I don't know. I'd say road, because that's where I, like, if I love cross country more, I'd end up more on cross country, and I don't. I end up more on road. So yeah, I'd say road, but cross country has my heart.
Nice. Uphill or headwind?
Uphill every single day. I despise wind, like, because it's always like a hill. You can be good at running hills. You can't be good at running into a headwind. I can practice for hills, but I can't practice for a headwind.
No, and when you turn, then you don't feel it as a tailwind anyway.
Yeah, I always say this to Ben. Like, sometimes where we train in Spain's like just on the coast, and it's I mean, it's a brilliant place to train. But like, there's this one patch. Like, if it's windy, it's like you always think, right, there's a tailwind there. When I turn around, it'll be fine. It'll be behind me, and it's never behind you.
No.
It's never there.
Yeah, that next one is actually England or Spain, because we see you obviously.
Spain's my happy place. Our house in Spain is my happy place. Yeah, look, I'm proud to be British, but yeah, I'd be on the next flight to Spain if people said I could live there. I like the hot weather. I don't do well in the rain.
Nice. The last one for London Marathon, Emil Carris or Mark Scott? Who do you think's going to come?
That's harsh. Yeah. I hope they both do really well. But I think Emil's experience over the marathon. A debut marathon's really hard, really tough. It can go. You could. The best thing, I think, to aim for like a solid debut is a much easier task than trying to run your best ever marathon. Fly over your first one. There's a lot of learning things. So I think Emil's like experience will come through. But yeah, I mean, I hope they both run very well.
Yeah, looking forward to, like, obviously, like say for Mark, he's a great shorter distance debut now. I'm imagining he's targeting 208, so it's a big first one. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it's a good day.
And I think, like, I mean, I've had enough rough marathons that I wouldn't wish for someone to fall apart in a marathon. So yeah, it's just a case of like a good solid day on a marathon. You always want that for people. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Awesome. That's it for me, guys. So over to your questions off Insta.
There we are. A couple of these now, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, Lil? Best recovery tips?
Recovery tips. Sleep would be the first one. Just make sure you're trying to get as sort of much as you can. Like, it's obviously difficult when people, like, if you have children or anything like that, it's easy for me to be like, oh, sleep 10 hours a night. These people are like, yeah, right. Fuel, make sure you're eating, make sure you're hydrated, sleep. I think they're the main three. You can do all the little things like compressions, socks or boots, all this, that and the other. But if you're missing those first three, kind of, it doesn't really matter what you do outside of that.
Definitely.
Good. What is your mental strategy for the marathon, especially when it starts to hurt a lot?
Yeah, I think the marathon is like massively like you kind of like. I think the thing that I managed to do in Valencia, which I was kind of, when people say what you're proud of, it's kind of like trying to keep that like internal panic like as low as possible for like kind of almost as long as possible. So I actually got some cramping in my quads at like sort of like 10, 15k in Valencia. And obviously I think like I'd done a lot of work with the sports psychologist of like, what if X, Y, and Z happens, da da da. And I think that was a big thing of like working through. We went through a lot of scenarios that could happen. Not that were going to happen, but like could happen. Like you could get cramp, you could have a bad stomach, you could like all these things could happen that you hope don't. But it's like, what are you going to do if each one of them happens? So I think actually when my legs did start cramping up a little bit at 10, 15k, which is really early, and I do think like maybe it's a bit like, it's like nerves maybe, or the rush of the start, like Valencia was mad. It was kind of like, right, just calm everything, back out slightly, give yourself some space on the road, make sure you get your next drink, kind of going through my tick list of things that I was going to do. Like sometimes it's just not your day and it just goes sideways on you. But I think, yeah, I find it easy, like working through scenarios before I'm put into that environment. So you've got the answers rather than trying to work them out under pressure.
Yeah, you're not just panicking on the spot.
Yeah, like just trying to pluck something out your brain on the spot when you're starting to panic. You've got like 35k to go and you're like, what on earth is going on? So yeah, I have those answers before. I find it easy to have those answers before you go into the pressure environment.
Yeah, I like that one. Good. If you had to choose no carbon trainers or no gels in a marathon, what would you choose?
No gels. I feel like I get more from the provinces than I do gels. And I can replace the gels with something else. But yeah, I'd go no gels and I'd keep my carbons.
Excellent. Your 10k 31:29 qualified you for the 10,000 meters at the Europeans. Will you do it?
If I'm selected, then yeah, it's definitely something that I would look towards. So yeah, I'll do it.
Good. And the last one we used to wrap it up. I don't know if you've listened to any of our episodes previously, but who would you choose to play Lily Partridge in a movie of your life?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I particularly look like anybody.
What about looking? I picked Tom Cruise.
Oh.
The way he runs, he just looks fast.
Who would I do? I really like. We watched something the other day with Sheridan Smith in it, and I kind of seem to like everything that she.
Yeah, she does.
I think she's quite funny. I don't really look like her either, and I'm definitely not as funny as her. But I also like Melissa McCarthy. Like anyone like that. I quite like people who are quite like come across quite chill and like funny and stuff like that. But yeah, we're nothing alike.
There we are. Excellent. Lil, thank you so much for your patience and coming in a week after all our Wi-Fi troubles. I'm thanking the Lord we've got through this. I hope your wildest dreams come true. Fingers crossed for you.
Thank you.
Nick, anything before Lily goes?
No, just thanks for that again. Like we say, thanks for your time. And
thank you for having me on.
Good luck for Monday. I know it's a bit of a wait still, but fingers crossed. Like we'll say that to obviously Clara, is Ponty, a local runner to us. It's like no hands anymore. But yeah, so if we do see you on the plane to Paris, all the best for that as well.
Bro, thank you very much, and I might see you at some of the races over the summer if you're
there. Maybe back. So
you're probably lucky.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, give us a shout if you.
Thank you, Lil.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.